So the last sort of chunk of this call is around integrations and the way that data can be sent from our system to other systems. We as ControlShift have a bunch of, we have some processors that we include under our DPA for EU folks. Those are things like SendGrid, who sends our emails, Zendesk. If you send a support ticket to us, they go through Zendesk. They then post into our Slack. So Slack is one of our data processing subprocessors. There are also third-party integrations that we allow you as admins to send your data to, but that are not included under our data processing consent. And those integrations are included on this integrations tab so that you can take a look and you can see the things where you are sending data to a third party outside of our DPA. This will include things like your CRM, which is of this list sort of the one thing that we have to set up for you. So if you are not currently sending data to a CRM and you do want to send data to a CRM, let us know, we can set that up for you. Or we also have these REST APIs and webhooks, which I believe the plan is to have data via REST API and webhook go to the Google data lake and then go off to systems as if by magic. Oh, go ahead, you're unmuted, Luca.
Just saying that you are the best, fantastic, great memory, Christy.
Well, I will say that I don't remember what the current status of that is. So if you have questions, talk to Luca, talk to Paula, they'll be able to give you an update on that project, but I believe that that will be done through the REST APIs and the webhooks. And so once that whole system is set up for each NRO, you'll see webhooks and REST APIs in the list of integrations that are active. Other ones that are commonly used are things like Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager, Motomo, which allow you to do analytics on the site. Motomo, at least last I knew, had an option to self-host the data, which makes it a popular choice for people who don't want to be sending their data to Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager. It's entirely up to you. All of the things on here are entirely up to you. And we would encourage you to take a look at the privacy policies and make sure that they all sound good. A few additional bits of information about some of these. So Segment is included on this list. Segment is a tool that basically allows you to add one tracking code and then set up a bunch of destinations for the data. So let's say that you only want one tracking code, but you want to send your data to Google Analytics and a Facebook pixel and I don't know, something else. You could add a single segment tracking code and then send to those three destination tools via the Segment UI. Segment is super expensive for people who are newly signing up. We happen to be a really, really old customer with grandfathered pricing, so it's not really expensive for us. We do allow organizations to have workspaces under our main organizational account. So if you're interested in using Segment, we can set that up for you, but it is still not included as a subprocessor. A couple of things that sometimes are interesting. ReCAPTCHA is also available if you're seeing any sort of spammy activity on your site. We would normally suggest that ReCAPTCHA might help block that spammy activity. This is not the version that most of us are used to, where you have to identify a bridge and then get really nervous that you've forgotten what a bridge looks like as you're trying to be like, is that tiny bit of horizontal corner a bridge or is it a house? Oh no, I'm not going to pass the test. The ReCAPTCHA that we built is version 3, which is, to be honest, a little bit creepier. It sort of tracks the way you're moving your mouse, the way you're typing things into forms. Do you seem like a real person or do you seem like a spam bot? If you seem like a spam, either way, you get a human score. If you get a really, really low human score, we'll just automatically reject your action. You won't know that your signature hasn't been recorded, and it's set to be very low so that most real humans would not get stuck at this really low human score. But we'll reject the action so that the signature isn't added. Yeah, go ahead, Luca.
Question on the ReCAPTCHA. I'm going to cut it from the recording, but I remember that there was some sort of like connection with the Google local entities. I mean, it's clear that this has to be enabled on a side-by-side basis. Very good. But is there something else that is required from our side to be done besides just adding this ReCAPTCHA tool or button?
Yeah, so the process for adding it, part of the reason why it is sort of more complicated than it might seem like it should be is because Google does require you to agree to their terms of service and privacy policy before you can set this up. So you do have to generate your own site key and secret key. Once it's enabled, we will add this, which is required on any sites protected by ReCAPTCHA, to have this disclaimer included that says exactly this. So we'll automatically include that disclaimer to your forms. Yeah, it does require agreeing to terms of service that I think could be charitably described as opaque, and perhaps not super clear what is actually happening with the data.
I think Cloudflare has stopped using ReCAPTCHA for different reasons. But one among them was that it was getting too creepy. They were not comfortable with it. So if you're considering using it, definitely check if it would work in the region.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a great flag. Please, yeah, definitely be aware that it really is a little bit creepier than a bit disconcertingly creepy. But yeah, it is an option. It is something where especially if you're worried about spam, it might be a good option for you. I think the other thing that Peter said that I think is really useful is the mention of Cloudflare. Cloudflare is usually something we would recommend in that situation as well. They basically have a tool that sits between the site and the actual internet, and they're able to block spammy traffic. They help with stopping sites from being DDoSed. They have, yeah, just really useful protections, I think, for a lot of sites. And they have something called Project Galileo, which offers their protections free to social like organizations who are doing good work in the world. You have to apply for it, but they offer their tools, their professional tools, for free to organizations who are doing good work. So if you're interested in that, definitely check them out. It basically will require some DNS updates, but it's a great tool and one that many of our organizations do use. The last couple of things I'll mention, we did recently add Google sign-in. So if you do want people to be able to sign in using their Google account, you can set that up. We have an organizational API key, or you can set it up with your own API key, and there are documents in our help center. And the last one I'll mention, just because it's my favorite of these integrations, like a bunch of these are super useful. Analytics is great, wonderful. Like Slack is cool. You can send things that need to be moderated to Slack. That's probably my second favorite. You know, REST API endpoints are super useful, but like kind of boring for me as a non-tech person. The one that I find really cool is Freshchat, and so I'm just going to show you what that does. So basically with Freshchat, let me just actually go over here. With Freshchat, what you can do is add a widget to petition creator pages, campaign pages, that will allow someone who is on this page and in need of help to say, I don't know what I'm doing, I need help creating this petition. Or if they're in the petition creator tools, maybe they're trying to write an email and they don't know what they're supposed to be doing now. It will show up on their petition creator tools so they can chat to a member of staff to say, help me, what do I do now? This is a chatting tool, so they will send off their message. If there's someone available to chat back to them, you can respond. If not, they'll get usually a canned response and then an email option instead. But it's a way of sort of connecting to petition creators who might be running into trouble. It's a sort of small integration, but one I find very charming. And so if you want to use it, it's Freshchat. You do have to have a Freshchat account. But once you do, you can then add it to the platform and it'll show up on those petition creator pages. And yeah, as with all things, just in a closing set of remarks, none of what I said is legal advice. I'm just going to say that one more time. None of it is legal advice. GDPR is super complicated. Please talk to lawyers who know these things better than I do. And also please talk to potentially Mark or maybe someone else at GDPR at Greenpeace who is in charge of GDPR for advice or best practices.